time, so they weren't spread out grazing everything. They were sort of block grazing or paddock grazing. What that means was that more of the farm was being rested at once, rather than the ewes being spread out and eating everything as soon as it was growing back. So they were just sort of the little changes we made. So what I meant doing was James had you would use the plate meter and measured all the fields on the farm. That was like your budget, that's like your bales in the stack. And what we could do then was say, well, for that group of ewes, they should be spending 10 days in that field, 6 days in this field, 3 days in that field, and so on. And just like you were saying, we aimed to start grazing the fields that were closest to the buildings we wanted to lamb in, graze those first, and then moved further away. So we grazed lambing fields, the wettest fields, and then the fields that were further away, all the fields that had poorer pasture cover. And we sort of started that plan as the ewes were going to go to the top. The lambing fields generally had the best quality, so when they went to the ram they had good quality. And then they moved to the wetter fields. We thought, right, we'll graze them off in case it comes in really wet. So we'll go and utilise that feed whilst we can, in case it's not available later. And then we'll go on to slightly poorer forage that's higher up, with more exposure. Once the ewes have sort of been to the ram for the first cycle, because once they've been through that first cycle, and especially as they get through the second cycle, they're mostly in lamb, and then it's just about sort of maintaining a consistent amount of feed for them. So that was fine, that was nice and easy, wasn't it? Because to the 20th of December they was just on grass. But the 20th of December we brought the farm cover down to such a point that something needed to happen. If we just decided to go, obviously the grass was growing a little bit, wasn't it, through December, so temptation would have been to go around again and have what was left. But we knew if we did that, we were setting ourselves up for a fall, because spring would have been starting from a very low pasture base with not a lot of leaf area. That could be pretty tricky if we're trying to lamb on it. Also, what we know is that that ewe on the 20th of December was safely in lamb, and her energy demand is going to start to sort of drop off a bit. So she's no longer tupping and ovulating. Okay, hopefully those embryos have been implanted, and all we need to do now is just keep her on quite a consistent plane of nutrition, so the eggs get a chance to implant, so she's now safely in lamb. And if she's in good condition, we could even take half a condition score off her. Now, that obviously wasn't the case this year. We just needed to make sure we had ewes that were just holding their condition, but we realised that we couldn't do that on grass without jeopardising ourselves in the spring. I would judge it's more valuable to have grass available in the spring for that ewe that's about to lamb than it is to feed to that ewe once she's in lamb. Because the ewe that's about to lamb's got a real need for energy, and if you've got to buy that energy in, especially if you're buying fodder beet from this gentleman,
It's cheap.
no, that's good value, fodder beet. But if you're trying to replace that energy demand in spring with supplements, it's expensive, isn't it? So the judgment here was it's better to bring some of the ewes into the shed and put bales out for the rest of them to preserve the grass in the field, rather than for those ewes to be grazing that now and then have a big gap when they're about to lamb.